Ladies and gentlemen, how the heck are you? Thank you for your patience. How do you avoid the Archons? Well, one way is to be just a few minutes late. And you can see that guy over there. Oh, yeah, it's Diamond from Oppenheimer Ranch, one of the grand solar minimum experts, the electric universe theory guru. And we're going to talk about all these articles that are flooding the headlines right now about this magnetic pole shift. Is the magnetic pole shifting? Why is the North Pole moving faster than they supposedly figured it was going to do? They're saying that navigation systems are failing right now, so they're having to update it faster. They had it projected to next year. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited because I've been whitening my teeth. My teeth have been getting whiter with my mobile phone and this really cool, you're going to love this. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to see this. This is off the hook. This is so incredible. It is actually called mobilewhiteteeth.com. And I was like, Diamond, do you think I can start the podcast like this? You don't mind, dude. He's like, dude, just do it. So check it out. I've used it 3 times. And my wife's already like, wow, I see great results. And so do I. So check it out. You want it today. mobilewhiteteeth.com. Lifetime refills. It uses a cool blue lighting technology. It doesn't use ultraviolet lights, and it works. So check it out. All right. Now, let's get into the fun stuff. I'm going to leave a link to the video description box, mobilewhiteteeth.com. Do you want yellow snow teeth or white sparkly teeth? It's your choice. Anyway, 7-8 articles the past 2 days, Diamond, that have talked about this magnetic pole shift. And these aren't articles from very far out alternative news media outlets. We're talking like live science, white papers, data that's pretty palatable in my opinion. And let me just share a few of these headlines with you real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just share a few of these headlines. That was not the button I meant to push. Here we go. The first one is Earth's magnetic field could flip in our lifetime. Lifescience.com. The second, and we're also going to talk about the electric universe latest models, the grand solar minimum updates, where we're at right now. And this winter is incredible out here in Southern Colorado. I was looking for Al earlier today. I wanted to give him a big hug with my I Love Al.
Al, get back in your hole.
See, I love Al, man, because he invented the internet. And I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know about all this snow outside. So I'm just saying that it's a conspiracy. The snow outside is a conspiracy. But the next article is Earth's magnetic field can reverse poles. Ridiculously quick study suggests. Livescience.com. The magnetic field is shifting. The poles may flip. This could get bad. And that's undark.org. And then nature.com. This is a breaking article that just came out. Earth's magnetic field is acting up and scientists don't know why. Well, let me just add the scientists that don't know why, maybe they should consider a different profession. Your thoughts, Diamond. And it's great to see you. How the heck are you? The Oppenheimer Ranch Project. This guy is a legend among legends.
Well, Rex Bear, if you can hear me now, can you hear me now?
I can hear you amazingly well.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for inviting me on the show tonight. And my position is now moved. I'm in front of the sliding glass door, which is directly next to my fireplace. That way I can maximize my heat because thanks to Al Gore, who invented the internet, I now know that I can burn the forest and keep the carbon dioxide inside my barn to save the planet. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm trying to be carbon neutral. I'm trying to inhale as much of the carbon dioxide as well as we're growing with this carbon dioxide. We're sequestering it in the barn so we can use it later. So thanks, Al, for the internet.
Oh yeah, dude, that's incredible. I love the way you're doing that. You know, the law that was signed in California, or the bill that was signed into law, I should say, where no carbon emissions will be allowed via anything that produces energy in California by 2035. It will be banned. It will be outlawed. It will be illegal. So does that mean if you start a fire, put a couple logs on the fire, that would be illegal?
Yeah, and I think that's where they're going towards because
that's scary, man.
The planet is getting cold and depopulation is their sequestration project. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about the disinformation campaign tonight because as you and I, Rex Bear, well know that we've been studying esoteric science for years now, and the polar flip is a topic of discussion for a decade. And the reason is because academia is well aware that the magnetic reversal has been going on since the 1800s. I have papers to prove that. Academia is also aware that the magnetic pole has increased in speed in its reversal and the movement from 1800 to 1900, it moved 50 kilometers. From 1900 to just 10 years later, it moved the same distance. So there's a logarithmic change in the migration of the magnetic poles. Now, in general, the magnetic pole moves around all the time. And our magnetic pole was wobbling around this place just away from the north rotational pole for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And then around 1800, it took off in a linear fashion directly away from that point. And at that moment, that is the 0 point. That is when the reversal begins. Now, what mainstream science was unaware of, Rex, was the speed at which this excursion or this flip could occur. They thought it took hundreds or thousands of years. But as the scientists studied the magnetic reversal data, which if I could pull it up, this comes from, let me share it. Okay, I'm trying to share the screen. Let's do it. Right here. Hold on, it takes a while. There's a lot of things to click. So here you're looking at, this is from Robert Felix's site. He's a friend of both of yours and ours, iceageinfo.now or whatever it is, iceagenow.com. Robert Felix's site. And this is one of the older magnetic reversal charts. This comes from Navy data. This comes from hundreds of research expeditions. And what you're looking at is the last million years or 100,000 years or 1,000 kiloyears at the bottom. But what you're going to quickly see in the middle, those thick black and white lines, is that there is a 100,000 year magnetic reversal very clearly that we can see, at least for the last 700,000 years. And if you get to the more recent data, if you look up at the top of the graph here by 100 kiloyears, you could see that our recent data shows magnetic reversals happen, in fact, every 12,000 years, not every 100,000 years. So another thing I learned in academia as a geologist is that the magnetic data that are intrinsic in the rocks that we get this magnetic reversal information from is sensitive in that it can be reversed, erased, or changed. So the only data that is the most clear or evidentiary, and what I mean by that is not erased. You know how if you took an old cassette tape and you put it by a big magnet, what would happen? Same thing happens to the magnetic reversal record on Earth. So you can clearly see here from Robert Felix's graph that he provides at his website that prior to 100,000 years ago, it seems like a lot of the data was erased. And I have good reason to believe why the data in between these 100,000 year reversals were erased. And that's the Vostok ice core data, which you're looking at right now. This is it's public access information. You can get different levels of the specificity, but we are living on the right side of this graph, Rex, right here. This is us today, and we're about CO2 400 parts per million. So on this graph, the pink line would be up here, but the temperature is right here at the 270-ish, okay? So we're right here. But you can see on this graph that the major climatic catastrophes here happened 130,000 years ago. Our last climate catastrophe was 12,900 years ago, this one. And then the last one back here at 240. And then there was one back here at 330. So there's 100,000 year massive mass extinction, an evolutionary event that is cyclic. It's very on specific. It's like a clock. And the last mass extinction happened just 12,500 years ago. The one before that was 130,000. The one before that was 230,000. And the one before that was 330,000. Those are 100,000 year evolutionary climatic catastrophe cycles, which we can clearly see on the Vostok.
Let me jump in on that, Diamond.
Go ahead.
Because before I forget, you know, about my my ADHD here. So if there are these, what I am seeing is the data showing that it went from 100,000 year intervals to approximately 10,000, you know, so let's just use that as 100 to 12,000. But now that the magnetic field is it's speeding up the way that the North Pole is moving towards Siberia. And then I've read reports that it's actually splitting. So one's staying down towards Canada and then one's heading up, doing a beeline towards Siberia. Now, with that being the case, with the pole moving faster over the past 100 years, if you look at the charts, the past 100 years, the pole has moved substantially faster than before that. Would that make you think, and that made me wonder, if instead of 100,000 year cycles, instead of 12,000 year cycles, maybe it's going to move up to like 1,000 year cataclysmic cycles? Does that make sense?
No, what I think, Rex, and what I've seen in the rock record is, and I've studied the geologic record in recent times. I studied in the Permian. I did a little dabbling in the Triassic, but I mostly was back in the Paleolithic or the Paleozoic, my bad. I studied the Devonian, the Silurian, and the Ordovician. And this is from 300 million to 500 million years ago, back towards the Cambrian. But in any quarry, in a sedimentary environment that I went into anywhere in the country, and I looked at it objectively, not with any preconceived notion, what I saw in all these quarries was a repetitive 100,000 year pattern of catastrophic climate change. Now, the problem with visualizing this as a geologist, and from what I've learned, was a paradox. It was a conundrum, because the time period I was looking at, there was supposedly no glacial ice. So we were currently learning about a glacial cycle of orbital variation that drove ice ages. And we were thinking about this because we are now currently, you and I, living in an ice age. But back in the periods I was studying, there was no ice. So there was no ice mechanism. But yet this cycle continues, this cosmic catastrophe cycle. And what I mean cosmic is because in order to affect the temperature on planet Earth of this magnitude in a geologic instant, where the temperature changes 14 degrees centigrade, there has to be a catastrophe planetary. And if it's a planetary change, then it probably is a solar system change. And the only thing capable in our solar system of changing of that veracity, geologically instantaneous, is that big glowing ball that rises every morning we call the sun. So in all of my wisdom, in all of my studies, the mechanism that kicks off this 100,000 year catastrophe is the sun. And I think that the sun novas in a very major way in a 100,000 year cycle, which to people listening is good news, because the next nova event, which is happening soon, is not going to be a 100,000 year catastrophic nova. It'll be a minor perturbation, but this is minor in a geologic sense. And I'm going to point out the last minor perturbation. If we come back to the last cycle here, after the major catastrophe, the same one we just had 12,500 years ago, there is a quiet time, which is called solar max. And we just lived it. This one lasted about 8,000 years. The same one we just lived, Rex. And then after this solar max, look what happens. The temperature drops 10 degrees centigrade geologically instantaneously. which is where we are. So I don't think a supernova from the sun will cause a temperature drop. It's my opinion that what happens during this grand solar minimum, this super minimum, and this magnetic reversal is that the cosmic rays increase to a point on the sun where cloud cover cools the planet catastrophically instantly, meaning instantly geologically is within a few decades. So as the cosmic radiation increases, cloud nucleation increases, that's called snowball Earth. So there is a connection to climate and the sun, but it's my current understanding and my belief, my hypothesis that the nova events are on 100,000 year periodicity here. And maybe there are minor nova events because there are small sea level rise events where sea level comes up 40 to 50 meters instantly. So after we drop down here, Rex, into the hole, if we're looking at the pattern, the sea level will come up 40 meters instantly geologically at the next recovery. But the point that we're living is the cooling. Based on this chart and this graph of historic data, it's about to get cold very quickly, and we need a mechanism, and that's simply cloud cover. We know from this cloud project at CERN that the work of Heinrich Svensmark is correct, and cloud nucleation does occur in the middle atmosphere when cosmic rays increase. So we know cosmic rays have been increasing exponentially. As cosmic rays increase and they spike, they cause rapid cooling, and they also cause spontaneous evolution, which is a whole nother layer. So that's a lot to work with. What say you?
I am thinking about these projects and these programs and what I've seen with my own eyes. And I know you don't agree with me 100% on this, and I respect that. And I think that these global programs of stratospheric aerosol injections is to attempt to keep the planet from having a full-on magnetic reversal. Now, I think there's a whole bunch of different reasons and a whole bunch of different layers for these projects that you can read up. But I think one of those is an attempt, and they're using this excuse as global warming, and by doing so, they can get a lot more control, laws, rules, regulations, etc. But at the same time, then they can then disguise this project and say, "Oh, we're trying to keep the planet cool." Well, maybe they're trying to divert it from getting too cold too fast. Maybe they're thinking it's the lesser of two evils, and they can profit on it at the same time. That's my thoughts.
Well, if there is anything to the stratospheric injection program, it would be to mitigate cosmic rays. I agree with you, but that's not going to stop the pole shift. The magnetic field of the planet is generated at a scale that is undeniable. Now, a friend of mine, Gene Beards from the UK, I helped fund him start up the TriMag Mavstar data. And since then, he started Maverick Star Reloaded YouTube channel. But back when we started all this 4 or 5 years ago, really waiting for this event to occur, he thought it was important that we had a publicly funded ground-based magnetometer to follow the pole shift. And so he went ahead and did it. I'm sharing his website, poleshiftnews.com. He's going to be live on my show, and he would love to come on your show, Rex. But what he's been doing is he's a citizen scientist who's been monitoring the magnetic field himself. And we're over at his site here, and I'll just point out the data. So what you're looking at in the pink and purple here is the North. First of all, this is the North Pole. This is Greenland. You're looking at the Arctic Circle. The pink and the purple here is the North Pole that migrated around for hundreds of years. This is the position where it just moved around for hundreds of years here. And then all of a sudden in 1904, it turned and moved right. And here you can see from 1904 to, let's say, 2004, the movement. And then from 2004 to today, I believe that the new pole is going to be over here, Rex, which is why they're panicking, because it has to have passed the actual rotational pole to destroy navigation. So the new this is the point that they gave us 4 years ago, the green dot. So I think the new position is way over here to the right, which means that's from 2007 till 2017, let's say, the amount of change in the pole is the same as 2007 to 1940. That is a massive uptick, because this data point was given back in 2015 here. And if we are now in 2020 or approaching it and have moved the same distance as 10 years, in 5 years, that's a logarithmic X. In the next 5 years, it moves over here somewhere. And then 5 years from that, it's at the equator, which is the prediction. So by 2035, this baby at the speed it's moving will be over here at the equator, somewhere near Indonesia. Now, the unique thing is that the North Pole right now is near the rotational pole, but the South Pole has moved. Here's the rotational South Pole up here. Here's the magnetic South. It has moved so far away. Here's the 2000 point that it is now off the coast of Antarctica over here towards Indonesia. So the South Pole will reach Indonesia faster than the North Pole. And this is all happening very quickly, exponentially. 1904 to 1970. So this is like 60 years here. And then 60 more years, it's over here. It's over double. And then so over double that is over here. So it's a very rapid change. And we've known this because look at the data points. They've known that since 1973, it's rapidly increased speed. This is not an anomaly. Scientists are not confused by why this is happening.
Well, and that's where we need to get into the exciting part here. I'm going to use the word exciting because you could look at it as kind of frightening also. When you talk about the creation of this alphabet agency that has 3 letters, that is extremely powerful organization. I mean, they have about, the most power that I know of anyway. I mean, over any organization. And I'm referring to the CIA folks. And so they, but anyway, we've talked a little bit off air about their creation and the possibility of the Adam and Eve essay by Chan Thomas being a research project. And then you had those 2 people that you spoke with that had contracts with the organization. So what are your thoughts on that? Let's talk about that a little bit. Can you give just a quick underline, give the cliff notes about what we've talked about on that? Because I think that's pertinent towards this information right here.
Well, first of all, Chan Thomas' story and the Adam and Eve story was written by Chan Thomas, who's a real human. And he did some work on ESP in the early 1950s. And that's the book that you and I both own. And I now got the, I don't know, it's the 143rd Airborne, the Cosmic Catastrophe book that's a signed version that has information on crustal displacement and pole shift. And this is coming from the Navy at the same time. And all this got hushed up. So it went from the Central Intelligence Group that ironically Charles Hapgood, which has the crustal displacement theory, became the first member of. So Charles Hapgood, who is part of this entire conspiracy, but it's not a conspiracy because he's unaware of a conspiracy. And this is how the puppets are played. The puppets of the master never know that they're a puppet. They think that they're special. So Charles Hapgood was made to feel special and release his book. And then they hush up the book or change the book. And then they put their arm around and they say, hey, you want to be a member of the Central Intelligence Group? And then they limited the amount of information he had. And this is the beginning of the disinformation campaign that is now perpetrating the world, because the elite power corporatocracy the shadow government, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, they are the Bilderbergs. They're the secret groups that are actually able to control the masses, because the decision-making at the highest levels allows them to disinform us. Now,
but didn't you also say,
there was a
real quick on the Bilderbergs though, but didn't you also say that they aren't even the ones? They're just, some of those are a part of that group, but there are people much higher than them as well. Didn't we have that conversation the other day?
Yeah, and it's called, so it's as if, so what if there was another higher level, and they call them the smoking men? And this was alluded to in the X-Files. What if there's just 12 dudes and one of them owns, let's say, an object? Let's say that this avocado lighter can make you control masses of people. This lighter. And all you have to do is stick it up your ass. But that's just a hypothetical. It could be, what everyone's been looking for. Do you know what I'm saying? It could be some chalice that Jesus Christ drank from. But what I think is it's alien technology. And with Doug Vogt coming into the fold here with his 4 decades of research and how the Hebrew alphabet is alien, that's an alien alphabet, which is coming from an AI, an alien intelligence, and we're getting back into AI. I think that there is an ancient code, and the Yuga Cycle and all of the religious doctrine comes from piecemeal pieces of the original Akashic record. And this record contains very ancient information. If you are that naive to believe that in a universe where mere humans understand that we've been around for at least the universe 14 billion years, that's our meager concept. But it's my belief that the universe is billions of 15 billion years older than that. So to conceptualize infinite amounts of 15 billion years, you're talking about an intelligence that would be so unbelievable that you couldn't even fathom the level of it. So for us to even begin to understand what it is we're part of, we have to start at the smallest cycle we can understand. This is the cosmic catastrophe cycle. And it is my belief that the Bob Lazar story is 100% true. I'm a judge of character. I've judged people at university level. I've been a canvasser. I knocked on 100,000 doors throughout major cities. I've spoke to more people on this planet than most people have spoken to. I've been to countries all over the world. I've climbed all over the world. I'm a very good judge of people. And Bob Lazar is telling the truth. The US government found 9 alien spacecraft accidentally during an archaeological dig. Just like the giant archaeological digs are covered up, so are alien archaeological finds. Every single OOPArt, and I know you've had the OOPArt King on your channel, Rex. These OOPArts are infiltrated, they're covered up, they're bastardized, and they're discredited. And it's on purpose because there is a much bigger picture that the powers that be, which is not the Bilderbergs and those other people that think they're making the decisions, they're just drunk, rich assholes that are allowed to pretend that they control stuff. When the real controllers are so able to brainwash and manipulate that it is simple for them to manipulate the elites. They manipulate the controllers of the money, the banks, the central banks, to do their bidding. And this is simply to hide the truth from the masses. I don't know what the purpose is. And no one still knows what that purpose is. It could be the 7 deadly sins, gluttony, sloth, greed. We all know how that feels. It feels good for a moment, and you need more and more and more. But the reality is, if you are woke and you understand your purpose, And I try to explain this to people. When I wake up in the morning, I sometimes giggle because I have another chance to go outside. And that is what I relish. It has nothing to do with the things I own. And you even said something to me like, you can't believe how I live or whatever. But that's exactly how I want to be. I've never been able to be exactly how I want to be until now. And it might suck or be dirty and I'm not done yet, but I'll get there. And it's not the fact that I need to be in a hotel room or to be pampered. It's that I think that the reason you and I are searching for this information is that we are attacking it from a different point of view. We have a different mission. We have gone over the controlling layers. Most people can't get over these controlling layers. And it is the controllers that are truly evil. And hopefully the cosmic catastrophe will reveal them. And maybe this time the truth will, I don't know, win. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you wake up and enjoy your life now. The only moment is now. It's not yesterday or tomorrow. Fear is a liar. Stop worrying. Enjoy the moment. That's why I spent all day preparing for this interview, because this is what I enjoy, even though I'm freezing my ass off next to a wood-burning stove and I have to crap in a bucket.
See, dude, that's why you're so awesome, because you're real and you're looking for the truth. You don't care about money and gluttony. You care about finding the truth. And that's beautiful, man. I couldn't have said that better. That's amazing. The only thing that I would say is the shitting in a bucket thing. I don't know, man. But other than that, I'm totally joking, dude. If you're going to find the truth and you got to take a dump in a bucket, it's worth it 100%, folks. Anyway, you could make fertilizer with that for your pigs, right? And they're going to step in it. And then anyway, I don't know why pigs need fertilizer. That made no sense. But that was beautiful. That was amazing. That was off the hook. And didn't you also say, I want to talk, let's go back to this for a moment, because we were having this great conversation the other day, and you said it beautifully here, even better. But one thing you didn't talk about too much is, remember when you said, what if these smoking men, let's call them the smoking men. I like that. The smoking men. What if the group of smoking men, and do you know what number came to my mind? 12 plus 1. So a group of 13. This just came to my head. I can't prove or validate it, but I'm thinking there's these 12 that control the, for whatever reason, the months, or they have each has a month, and then there's that one above them that kind of controls the 12. Anyway, going conspiracy talk here, conspiracy scientist talk. But these smoking men or smoking women, or maybe it's 6 smoking men and 6 smoking women and a one that's both sexes above. I don't know. But anyway, so they're like making these decisions for everybody else. And then you said, what if they found something that's like, like this, not necessarily the Ark of the Covenant, but something that's so powerful it gives them magical powers. And the saying goes, power creates corruption, absolute power, absolute corruption, or something like that, similar to those lines. You probably know that saying. But so you said, what if they found something? What if these people found something and it kind of makes them evil? It turns them into like these, not necessarily evil, but they do things that we would look at as evil because we have a conscience, but they're not even at that point anymore. Something that's so highly evolved, and it's seen the ripple throughout time and space, not linear, but it's seen everything at once. So when it makes a decision, it's at a quantum level, and these people are connected to it. And then I brought up that book that I had, that the Lesser Keys of Solomon. Back in the day, I ordered a copy off of eBay. I'm like, look, it's an original copy from 1913. It's only $100. I got to get it. And I get this copy of the Lesser Keys of Solomon, and then I get it in my house. My house was already haunted. We lived in the Northwest. This house that we were in had some real negative energy in it. But I get this book, and then I've got the book, and I could just, like, the dark thoughts were going through my mind the whole time I had it, this negative energy, real dark, real dense. And I finally just got rid of the book. I just gave it away. I gave it to Half Price Books. I'm like, here you go. I didn't want to dime for it. I wanted it out of the house. The same day that I got rid of it, Kristen said, do you feel something different? Doesn't it just feel lighter in the house? And I was like, yeah, by the way, I had a Lesser Keys of Solomon, ancient grimoire, or not ancient grimoire, but grimoire in the house. And she's like, oh, you did? So she could feel the energy when I got rid of it. I could feel the energy when I got rid of it. It was some type of just bizarre, like, I don't know, man. I don't know if the people that had it at first were doing some negative stuff with it, and that's how it kind of connected. But I would never, ever buy a used grimoire again after that. So what did they find? What are they doing with it? Are they connected to some some alien intelligence that is so far above us we don't even have a choice? We're just like, now we're batteries for the giant computer system. And now this electric universe hypothesis, these 12,000 year cycle resets are kind of like a program designed so we don't get too much power or control. And then we have to start over as a civilization, I guess, like a universal karma / balancing effect.
Well, if you want to combine the esoteric with the factual scientific, then you have to first begin with the Yuga Cycle. And that's the first place that I got into this. So when I was watching a video on the Yuga Cycle and then 4 years later had it download while looking up at the sky, that blew my mind. I knew that there was some connection between the cosmos, the precession of the equinoxes. That's what I studied in graduate school. And how could that was not a coincidence. And then I started getting into coincidences. And what I found about serendipity and coincidence is that there are none, and that people are woke and that are able to tap into the resonance of the universe, pick up on these coincidences, and that's how they start to learn about the layers of the lie. Now, let's take it to another level. When you study the yugas talk about cosmic influence on humanity and how during this 26,000 year precession of the equinoxes, we enter a silver age, a golden age, and a dark age. And then I studied the dark age, and it turns out that humanity was in the darkest depths of the darkest pit of the dark age just recently. A few hundred years ago, we were in the dark age, coming out of it. And then 2012 and the Mayan calendar talks about a change into the next world when we, as above, so below, come above the galactic plane, which we're now doing in our lifetime. So as we go above the galactic plane and we get higher and higher, the information coming from the universal constant, whatever that is, and new scientific discoveries at the center of the Milky Way are showing that the center of the Milky Way isn't a black hole. Black holes are imaginary mathematical models, dark energy, imaginary mathematical models. If you look up Stephen Carruthers, one of the most brilliant mathematicians in England, I believe, he has discounted almost all of the nonsense of the Big Bang Theory, dark holes, and black holes and dark energy, simply because they cannot be contiguous. We cannot have a Big Bang universe and have black holes. Black holes can only exist in an infinite universe. So when plasma physicists or astrophysicists or astronomers are talking to you, they're lying straight to your face because they don't know the mathematical paradigm is being broken. If you are agreeing with the Big Bang model, you can't have a black hole. It's mathematically impossible. The only way a black hole can exist is if the universe is infinite, which means it has no beginning or end, period. And that's based on the math. So if you want to learn how the math is completely disinforming you, because no one, not even Neil Tyson deGrasse, even knows it. I don't know if he even knows it. The guy is such a shill for corporatocracy that I don't even know if the guy knows that the math does not match the Big Bang Theory. He talks Big Bang, and then the next second he'll talk black hole. And you'll be like, dude, you're in two different math classes. But I digress, because not everyone's here to be an actual scientist to learn things. But if you want to learn things, you need to go on your own quest. And I think that the quest is just beginning. And as we go through the cosmic wheel, our lifetime is yet a mere instant, Rex. And I know you and I believe that we are reincarnated, and that we're reincarnated again and again and again. The biological body is a fleeting moment for the consciousness. The consciousness is eternal. It's been here forever. And if we've been here forever, new scientific discoveries at the center of the Milky Way prove what's there. It's not a black hole. We have a picture of it. There are giant glowing plasmoids. It just came out like 4 months ago, the picture. And these plasmoids look like, oh my gosh, they look like gods or angels or whatever you want to call them. But those are the centers of energy. And in the plasma scaling model, the center of our Earth, that same plasmoid's in there. And they're like clocks. So they receive the energy from the center point, which are connected through Berkland currents that have been proven. When Voyager 1 and 2 left our solar system, do you know what the first thing they saw was?
What?
A Berkland current that
Can you
went
describe
out
the Berkland
connected
current
to Orion.
Can you describe the Berkland current for our listeners?
Yeah, so a Berkland current, if you just want to think about it as a layman, is a lightning bolt. So a lightning bolt connects energy between a positive and a negative point. And in weather, you have ionization in a cloud that forms an energy charge that's negative to the surface. And then an arc forms, typically from the ground to the cloud, sometimes from the cloud to the ground. It doesn't matter which way it goes. That lightning bolt is a Berkland current, which is a plasma current that is rotating, and it has an outer sheath that spins and an inner core that counter rotates. So the key to the Berkland current is the shape, which it rotates in reverse. And these can have multiple layers of different rotating reversals. So if you want to see a big Berkland current, you would go up to Norway during a geomagnetic storm and look up, because the aurora forms a circle at 18 degrees south latitude, which is one of those tubes. So one of those tubes will get energized and be all green, and that's the aurora. Sometimes two layers of the tube, counter-rotating, will glow, and you can actually see two counter-rotating auroras. And those are the sheaths of the Berkland current counter-rotating. So we have a Berkland current that connects to the North Pole and the South Pole of the planet, and those connect to the sun, and then they go out into the universe. And every single star and planet and body is connected by an extension cord, so to speak.
That's
and
awesome.
These are go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's awesome. So everything's connected at this like plasma level, quantum plasma level, and then that would explain how things move through this electric universe. Now that really makes more sense for me. But now, what about the Z pinch? Can you describe that?
Okay, so a Z-pinch phenomenon is just that in these Berkland currents, can you imagine the Berkland current that goes from our sun to the next star? That is quite a few light years long.
That's pretty powerful.
So, yeah. So you have these strings all over. And if you look at a picture of, let's say, a nebula, you'll have these amazing Berkland current strings throughout. And what we found in recent years along these strings is stars. Boom, 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 boom. So as these Berkland currents are spinning for hundreds of light years long, areas within the extension cord can be corrupt because you're going to get boo-boos. And that's where the Z-pinch occurs. So a Z-pinch is just an area where there's a thing floating there that had a bad day, and boom, it's a star. Because on the Z-pinch, a star is formed. And once you form a glowing plasma ball, you're in for a very long history, because then you form solar systems, and then you get people, and then you have Leak Project and Oppenheimer Ranch Project. It's crazy. So once there's a Z-pinch, you have an area where the information that goes around the universe infinitely stops and gets produced. And the Z-pinch first produces an error, which becomes a star, and then the star starts producing every element in the universe in the solar wind. And that solar wind, and then the star may micronova regularly, and it puts out material that can form planets, planetesimals, and other stuff that makes humans and biological activity possible. And even recently, they found within the stellar medium, the ISM, within the interstellar medium, which would be the Berkland currents, they found, Rex, are you ready for this? They found the building blocks of ribonucleic acid, which would be the building blocks of DNA. So flowing through the plasma in the universe, just out there, in the ISM, interstellar medium. The paper came out this month. The building blocks of DNA are in space. They're
That's
not on
awesome.
Earth. Yeah.
That's like, so we got a giant computer that's sending data back and forth through these currents. And then all of a sudden it's like, bank, there's Bob. Bank, there's Diamond. Bank, there's Oppenheimer. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Now I'm getting to see, like I said, this everything's code, everything. Now you've got code flowing through currents. And then the Z pinch, you described that brilliantly. These cosmic boo-boos that create solar systems. Now I'm thinking of the Enuma Elish, Tiamat, the destruction of Tiamat, the Anunnaki creation, the planets. It's all amazing. You're on a roll.
Well, I have to do an update. So what else do we want to talk about before we shut up?
Oh, shoot, man. Yeah, so let's talk about the petroglyphs and the squatting man and these incredible anomalies that you and I are discovering around the Four Corners area here, these caverns. And then also I want to talk about these buildings and amazing structures that are built in caves and why they did that and how it all connects and how it's all connected with the electric universe.
So, okay, let's real quick. This is my newest belief on all the cosmic catastrophe. Now, if you're out there, I've been studying this for 3 decades. I've been studying it esoterically for the last decade, and I'm a maniac. So I have really hashed over all of the information. Not only that, I'm a field geologist and an anthropologist, and I take Rex out, and Rex goes out on his own, and we do this for information. So my current position is that Iron Cross cosmic catastrophe cycle is significant. And the reason I'm saying this is because of mud floods. And I'm sure you've been asked and have lots of information coming into your channel about what mud floods are. And I think that mud floods are an occurrence that happen. And because we have lots of recent buildings that are covered with debris. And we're talking about buildings built in the 13, 14, 1500s. They're now buried. And this is not in the historical information about these floods. These are minor floods, but there are always catastrophic floods. But why I'm getting back to this Iron Cross is that I think that every 6,500 years is a major catastrophe. It's now being corroborated in the Chan Thomas books, many other sources that you continue to tell me about, Rex, how we've now had in the last 12,000 years, almost 5 or 6 floods. Not if you believe me.
Yes.
Yes. But the point I'm getting at is that we're now just trying to uncover all the catastrophes. There's not just one big Noah flood. There has been flood after flood after flood after flood after flood. And guess what? We also know that hominids, people with brains like this, have been around for millions of years. It is my belief that people as smart as us have been around for 5 million years. And now, if we've been around, let's just say I'm off 80%. Let's say we've been around for 1 million people with brain capacity this big. That means every 6,000 years we get kicked back. That means we've lived through thousands of catastrophes, and yet we question why we're scared of comets and catastrophes. And Velikovsky and all the greats have always described it as we suffer from amnesia of who we are, amnesia of where we come from. We come from catastrophe. We constantly know everything and then we forget it all. Stone Age is intrinsic in our language because we're about to go back there. And we know exactly what that is. The grid is about to be fried. It's happened before. They had a different type of grid back in Giza 15,000 years ago when the canals were flowing, and that's where the electricity was underneath of the pyramids. It was a different infrastructure. It was an infrastructure of geniuses, permaculturalists. They didn't pollute. There were no quarries. There were no landfills. Well, there were quarries, but there were no landfills. And these people knew how to create energy without creating waste or destruction or pollution. But the people in control now don't care about pollution or destruction. They only care about money, greed, gluttony, sloth. This is talked about in the biblical texts. So clearly the ancient people knew about these greedy pricks a long time ago, and they were warning us. But we got it all wrong now, and we go pray to the rapist priests and do all that dumb stuff when actually we should be looking for the facts and the science. And the facts and the science are in these esoteric books, the Bible, the Quran, the Enuma Elish. These are the informational texts to guide us through the future. And so what if the future doesn't have eBay, YouTube, and the internet? It will have basket weaving and permaculture, and there will still be people, and you'll still get laid, and you'll still be able to watch a play if you can write a script. So it won't be that bad.
There's always opportunities. There's always opportunities. And my heart, my gut is telling me that we have two options. And we're getting to that point right now with the total lunar eclipse, the super wolf blood moon that's going to be tomorrow night. I'm going to be doing this major projection of good energy, because I think that tomorrow we all have a chance to make a big contribution to a higher level of consciousness. And that's inventions. Like you said, that's having a balance with nature and having these amazing things. So we could see some great opportunities and actually maybe make it through this and not have this cataclysmic event fry the grid, people flying off anyway, I'm imagining people and like this pole shifter, people like, oh my gosh, all this crazy stuff's going through my head. Or maybe we'll avoid that. I know it's far out, dude. I was imagining the flat earth for a moment. People are falling off the edge. Like, we hit the ice wall, and they keep bumping into the ice wall. Oh my gosh, there's this big firmament. I'm playing around here. I'm just got 5G from outside. But anyway, somebody said earlier today, Rex brings good information if you can get past his cheesy jokes. You got to deal with it, okay? So why don't we focus on good energy? Because if we can make it through this, we could have a Jetsons future, man. We could have a Jetsons future. We could take all this stuff that's freaking us out and turn it into something good. And is that the beautiful moon right now? Gorgeous.
Yes, indeed.
It looks purple. See what happens, folks, when you're in the Colorado Rockies with Diamond? You get a purple moon. Tomorrow it's going to be red. Today it's purple.
16 degrees outside, and I have a T-shirt on.
Dude, you're a Colorado man. You can handle it. He got invited to that TV show, Dude, You're Screwed, which you need to watch, by the way. Dude, You're Screwed. If you haven't seen it yet, it's awesome. They got all these dudes in special forces that go and they drop them off in the middle of nowhere with a match book and a T-shirt in Antarctica, and they have to travel 50 miles in 4 days. It's pretty amazing. So, folks, legendary Diamond from Oppenheimer Ranch, the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Somebody sent him the boom sign. They actually made that for you, didn't they? Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. Your subscribers are awesome, I don't know what his name is. So you told me last night we've only got like 50 tickets left to LeakCon. We're almost out of tickets. Folks,
let's talk about two things before we finish up.
Away.
I'm about to interview the owner of this EMP protection device that everyone on my channel has emailed me about. And I'm going to go through the science with him, and I'm going to talk to the owner tomorrow. And then you and I will do a podcast with him to explain to the people about this product. Now, this is a way to EMP proof your home. And Lee Wheelbarger and I talked about this a year ago. It's literally a unit you put in next to all of your breaker boxes that will stop major solar flares or EMP weapons from frying your home. So while everything else fries on the grid, your house will be safe, and you'll be able to look out the window and watch everyone burn. So if this product is what it is, it's absolutely the one thing we all need. So I'm going to talk to this guy tomorrow, and we'll talk about that later. But more importantly, what else were we talking about? LeakCon 2019. We're paying out $15,000 to fly these people into Denver. And if you're not there, you're going to miss out. And the reason I'm saying that is you're going to get to meet everyone. And the VIP package is sick. I mean, I specifically talked to the CEO of Hemp Lucid, and he's putting together a special package just for our VIPs. You're going to get a special attaché. You're going to get notebooks and pens, and you're going to get my personal email so you can totally piss me off all the time. But more importantly, you're going to get to hang out with all the speakers before and after the program. Before and after the program.
You got to be at this event. It's going to be amazing. And, really, this is awesome, Diamond. I thank you for coming on the show. We'll do this again. Be excellent to each other. Now, also the event, though, is going to be, so we've got this huge roundtable of people that are going to be there, but also it's going to be an amazing hotel. It's going to be at like the Marriott Event Center, and it's going to be like, it's all pro. It's all set up 100% pro. So we'll leave it at that. Am I correct on this?
Well, hopefully we'll have the best. We are going to hire the best AV group available that is at the Marriott Tech Center, Denver. This is the largest conference center outside of the inner city. So the benefit of this is that this entire venue was just refurbished a year ago. They spent like $10 million fixing the hotel. So if you stay there at the venue, it will be the most pimp hotel that you've ever been in a major city, because this is right outside of the satanic worshiping Denver airport. I mean, it has a direct train right to the Satan hotel. So you're going to be living with like Illuminati linens. It's amazing. Not only that, we're going to have the top AV, some of the biggest groups ever coming to the Marriott Tech Center. What's even better, if you're VIP, there's like the buffet that we're having Saturday night where Rex Bear and I will be there eating dinner with you. It's going to cost us like $25,000. And that's for 100 people. It's crazy.
This is the event of events. This is the event of a lifetime. So I'm so excited to be there. I'm also nervous just because it's so much work, but Diamond's doing an incredible job putting it together. I mean, he used to put together these events that had tens of thousands, I think even hundreds of thousands of people around the world that were associated in some way, shape, or form with social media. So Diamond's got to go. I'm still talking. He's got an update to do. You need to jump over to his channel next, ladies and gentlemen, the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. The Oppenheimer Ranch Project is awesome. So is Diamond. Be the change you want to see, everybody. And also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord. Go to leakproject.com today. Get access to exclusive content. I tried to say all those words at once.
Free the weed.
Nah.